All right, I've got 3:30, so I'm going to go ahead and start. We've got a pretty short agenda. I am recording. I remembered this time. Thank you, though. It is a pretty short agenda. We do have a little bit of homework that we want TAT teams to kind of talk about, so hopefully we'll give everybody some time to have a conversation in their building with their TAT team after we're done, so we can start to collect some of that information. First thing on the agenda, and we shared this with high school or with principals on last Wednesday, but we've got the checkout procedures. So this is a little bit different. We have typically just given the checkout procedures to the media specialists and let them just kind of run with it. But because we're a little bit different this year, we want every building to kind of figure out how they're going to handle this. So the checkout procedures, I'll open just in case you haven't seen these before. The idea is it just breaks it down into different groups. So for instance, elementary and junior high, group 1 is the teacher is coming back to your building next year. There are 2 options for that teacher. The easiest option is they just take the Surface home with them. Option 2, we always have some teachers who say, I don't want to take it home. I don't want to be responsible for it over the summer. So we just ask the buildings to lock those machines up somewhere that's safe. And if you would let the district tech center know where those are in case there's something we need to get our hands on them for, that would be helpful. But I'm guessing 90% of your teachers will want to take their machines home with them. Group 2 is teachers staying with PLSD but is going to a different elementary or a different junior high building. This one they can just take it home with them. It's not like the old days where we had to move files from server to server. Now everything's on OneDrive, so they can just take the machine home with them and bring it to their new building next year. It should connect. Should be pretty seamless. The other option gets a little bit trickier because if the teacher doesn't want to take the machine home with them and they're going to a new building, we ask that those are collected at the building and brought down to DTC by May 26th. So a lot of times we've had media specialists who have just run them down on the last day of school. There will be some more information coming out. Media specialists probably remember the red and green tags. So we'll start getting information out about tags if you have some of that. We don't have a lot of people who don't want to take their machine home. Most people want to take it home, but you might have 1 or 2 in your building who want to do that. Group 3, teacher is staying with PLSD but is going to a high school building. And for the high school people, it would be the teacher is staying in the district but is going to elementary or junior high. In those situations, we would like to get their new machines ready for them by the last week of school. And I haven't talked to Tim about this, but he's sitting behind me, so he knows what people can work on in May. We did this last year. Instead of having teachers come back in the summer, we just found it was easier to do the swap the last week of school. So we need to get a list from buildings as to, we do get a list from HR, but we always try to cross-reference that with the building as well so we don't have any screw-ups. So probably by middle of May or the end of first week of May, we'll probably be looking for those lists from buildings so we know who's shifting from that standpoint. And then the last group is the teachers leaving PLSD. Those machines need to get brought down to the district tech center by May 26th. We get those machines re-imaged, and then we have 2 checkout times in June, one in July, where teachers come in, new teachers come in, and we hand them out at that point. So we are giving this, like I said, we gave it to principals last week. We're giving it to you guys today. If you see anything that's incorrect or wrong with this, or something that doesn't make sense, go ahead and let us know now. But if it's something you notice later, turn it in. Just shoot me an email, and I can make corrections and get it sent back out to the group. So any questions so far? It's kind of hard to believe we're discussing end of year stuff already. It always kind of comes up quick on us. The other thing that goes along with summer is summer schedule, and for the elementaries, there is not a ton of work that's happening in the elementaries. We're going to re-image some labs. We've got some labs that just haven't been getting updates and have fallen kind of behind during the year. So we've been kind of keeping track of those as we're out in buildings, and we're just going to re-image those labs with a fresh image, all the updates, get a fresh start with those laptops. The other thing we're going to do is Action Tech has another update. So we're going to pull down every Action Tech and update them and then get them back out to the buildings this summer as well. So those are the two major pieces for elementary. For middle schools and high schools are getting all new access points this summer. So we're going to have some network downtime at the high schools and La Vista Middle and Papillion Middle. The two middle schools that are there, we only need 1 day, but we're planning for 2 days for the high schools. So the dates are there. The goal with all of those locations is to get the office area up first and then work out to the classrooms at that point. So you may want to let your buildings, for those 4 buildings, you may want to let teachers in your buildings know that those would be days that they might have some network outages throughout the day. And then the big network outage that's for everybody is July 3rd. We are putting all new data center equipment in. We're going to from 1 gig data center equipment to 10 gig data center equipment. We're moving the firewall on site instead of at ESU. We're going to go on the other side of ESU's firewall. So big changes happening on July 3rd, and we got to take the entire network down probably for the entire day. I'm thinking that we'll start at 7 and it'll probably be 6 or 7 p.m. before it's back up and running. We chose July 3rd though because it's a Monday. July 4th is Tuesday. We figured that's going to be a day that most people who are working aren't going to want to be in the building at that point anyway. So as long as we're on summer work, one of the things that Caitlin brought up with me is in the past, carts, we've asked carts to get locked up at the end of the year, and we typically want machines turned off completely, carts unplugged and put somewhere safe for the summer. We know people are in and out of buildings, so if we can get a room that is locked and get those put away. So that's the other thing that goes along with this, is if you can just have a conversation about who's going to make sure some of that work gets done at the very end of the year, that will help us. And then let us know where those carts are so that if something does come up and it is a cart we're going to image, we know how to get to it. So that's most of our summer stuff. The other thing that got brought up, and Anna's not here right now, but one of the things that came up was summer trainings. And I think we're looking at a number of different options here, but our first curiosity would be, what kinds of things do people want trainings on? Trainings? What kind of things do people want to be trained on? And is it something that they would be interested in coming during summertime? We've done this the past couple years. 2 years ago, we picked 2 weeks and we just did full week-long sessions. And we had, in one session, we had 5 or 6 teachers, but in the other session, I think we had 15 or 16. So we've also done a thing where we sponsored last year an Office 365 day down at UNO. UNO is also in Office 365. So they gave us a room. We had a person from Microsoft there OPS had some trainers there. And since that time, I've gotten the request that we do the same thing. So I think I'm going to put that together again for us this year, and then I'll probably send it out to the TAT group. So if it's something that people want to go to, they can sign up, and we can make anything work for the amount of people. I mean, we didn't have enough people to do breakout sessions last time, but we could do breakout sessions and have some of our expertise do some of that. So let us know if there are training opportunities you want to see or things you want help with. I think you've got receptive people who are more than happy to do some of that kind of stuff. So how are we doing? Any questions or anything?
Negative.
All right, we're flying through this, which means either they've got no questions or they can't hear me. They're on the other side saying, is he going to start? So the last thing that we wanted to bring up today, and this is going to be one of those things that once we get through this, I want to be able to hand it off to every building to kind of discuss this. This first year with this new way of doing technology support, we want to get some feedback on that. It's part of a principal meeting in June. And for my curiosity, I also want to hear what TAT teams think, and then I also want to get a perspective. I'm going to be talking to media specialists as well, get their perspective. I've got perspective of our techs, but I want to bring all of that together when we meet with principals as well. So I've put this little document in here, and what I'm asking is that everybody just kind of saves this document to their desktop. So if you open it, you can save it to your desktop. And really what I'm looking for is just 3 questions. What went well this year for your building? What struggles did your building have this year? If everybody could at least fill in the first box with one thing, so I don't go home crying, that would make me feel better. And then what suggestions do you have as we look toward next year? I think we're all realists. I think we all know that people and time would be a wonderful thing to have, but in the absence of those 2 things, how do we streamline the process we have? At this point, we've given it 8 months with the TAT teams, and I just want to get some perspective from the buildings as to what they think we can do next year to make this better. I think that this is going to continuously be a work in progress. I think it's just something that we got to just kind of fight through and get to an end result here. So that was all we really have for the TAT meeting today, again with this homework. So we'd like everybody to save this, and if you would just email it to me, I'll compile all the results. And I don't know if it's something, if you guys want to see results, I've got no problem after I compile them letting everybody kind of see. And I'm going to try to put like things together. So what went well this year for your building? If a bunch of people say Bill's great to work with, I'll lump all those things together and kind of aggregate it. And then if under struggles we've got the same thing, then I'll aggregate those as well, I guess. So that's all I've got. Any questions or anything that we need to address? For summer school? Okay, so the question is iPads for summer school, and we've got great news there. In the past, we have had to steal iPads from buildings to make summer school work. We held back iPads last year that we were going to sell. We held those back, and they've been sitting in our office that we can use for summer school. So we're not going to take, the plan is, correct, Tim? The plan is that we have enough iPads to support summer school. And that's been a real big pain for buildings. For those of you who don't know, we take those in and then we wipe them and put the summer school stuff on, and then when August comes around, we have to get them back out to the buildings and you have to get the correct apps on them and everything else. So that has all gone away, at least for this year and probably next year for sure. So good question. Tina, I'm glad you brought this up. NISA, we are, I get nervous every time I say this, and I'm knocking on a table right now, but NISA is going fairly well around the district from what we're hearing. We have a couple small glitches here and there. We had an issue at Anderson Grove today with an access point that went out. But for the most part, things have been going fairly well. So we've been very happy with that. All right, not seeing nothing else. I think what I'm going to do is let you guys have some time to talk in your buildings and kind of work on those sheets. And like I said, I'll aggregate those once I get them all back in and get them sent out. And I don't say it enough, but I want to thank everybody for the time they put in towards technology this year. We'll have one more meeting in May, and maybe we'll have the aggregated results by then and can kind of have a conversation around that. So thank you guys very much.